G Shaw Cypher. You officially tuned in on the Grind Live, where we support anybody out there grinding in any capacity. It don't really matter what that capacity is, as long as you grinding and you want to talk about it. This is where you want to be. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that's been supporting us from day one. You know what I mean? That's been doing their thing and making sure that they know that we here for them as well. You know what I'm saying? But you already know the mantra. When you see me, you see dope people. I'm gonna say that one more time. When you see me, you see dope people. So of course I got dope people with me. Shout out to the homie Jaye Flash. What's going on?
What's the deal, fam? How you doing today?
Listen, man, you know, I appreciate you taking this time out. Last time we talked, it was on Power 107.3 Truth. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And now I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring them on the Grind Live through the virtual thing. Make sure we get that popping too. I want to take it back though. You know what I mean? Like for you, I know you in California, but you tell me about the origin of Jaye Flash. First of all, where did that name come from? Because that's your brand. This is not just a name; it's your brand. So talk to me about how you came up with that, how building that became the focal point.
I'm a junior. My first name starts with an A. I'm a junior, so everybody just call me AJ. I started spelling it different ways, AJAYE, and I kind of stuck with that, and people start calling me AJ from there. And then I was like, you know what, I'm about to do music. I'm about to, I want to have something that's more, flashy. Flash Gordon, D Wade, Flash. I was like, all right, I'm gonna just, make it Jaye Flash. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, that's the rest is history.
I feel you. I feel you. I like stories like that. You get what I'm saying? Because there's a whole background to it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Was that the one and only name you went by when once you started to get into this music business, or did you kind of have to go through a couple different name changes until you figured out what that was going to be?
Well, as far as like battle rapping in high school, I went by a different name, which was Starburst. But
It's all good. It's all good. You know what I mean? I think I told you when when I first started in this music business, at least for my artist, I was Pelican. You know what I'm saying? So, I know exactly how you feel with those original, first names trying to figure things out. Let me ask you this. What inspired you to start your journey in hip hop? Who brought, who were your biggest influences?
um, I would say my top four would be Nas, Mace, Ice Cube, and Snoop. So those are like the guys I listen to. LL too. So
Right.
I listened to a lot of them growing up, and you can kind of like if you listen to my music, you can kind of see like little bits and pieces of
Right.
different people in there.
Right. You said Nas, Mace, Ice Cube,
Yeah,
and,
Snoop.
and Snoop. Yo, that's that mix right there alone is different. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I like that because it really just shows the versatility of the artist that you would tune into,
Yeah,
right? And plus, you know what I mean, you really 90s era. Well,
yeah.
Ice Cube was a little bit earlier, you know what I'm saying? But you get the drift, you get what I'm saying? So I definitely understand that. When was the first time you recognized that hip hop for you would be something that you wanted to take serious? Because I know hip hop was something that you were introduced to as a fan, but when did you want to take it serious?
Um, Probably 2016, 2015.
Okay.
I started saying, okay, this is what I want to do. But I just don't think that I had the right team behind me and I didn't have the right motivation to do it. I knew what I wanted to do, but I couldn't put everything together at that moment. And
Right.
every timing is everything. You know what I'm saying? So, it may not work out this year, but 5 years from now, it might work out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's just how it went for me.
Right. Right. So how would you describe your style and sound to someone who hasn't heard your music before?
Honestly, I don't really look at myself as somebody you can box in to one style.
Okay.
Because if you listen to Out for Blood, you're gonna hear reggaeton songs on there. You're gonna hear hip hop type songs. You're gonna hear club bangers. So I would just say, just different. Different than what you really would hear on the airwaves. Like if you were to throw a Jaye Flash track in there, it would change the whole night. Like if you're at a party, you throw a Jaye Flash song on, the whole night would change. Whether it's good or whoa, wait a minute, that's different than what we've been
Right.
listening to. So I would just say different. I wouldn't say a certain style.
What's your process when creating music? Because I know, like for me, when I create music, once I hit a beat, if something comes in my head, no matter where I am, I gotta get it out. I gotta try to either memorize it if I'm driving, or voice record it, or I gotta sit down and write it so I know the flow. Like, what's your process when you ready to create that record?
Um, my process is I already know, like you just like you said,
Right.
you kind of you hear the beat and you kind of know exactly where you're gonna go with it. Me, I'm the type of person I can't wait. So if I'm driving, like when I'm driving, I'll have YouTube beats playing all day. I mean, I'm that's the type of person I am. Like people like, you don't listen to music. I'm like, nah, I'll be listening to YouTube beats all day. I listen to
Right.
different people emailing me tracks.
Right.
So um when I can be driving, I'm texting, rapping. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
freestyling. So that's just who I am.
Definitely. I mean, I like being in the moment, being in the vibe. You get what I'm saying? So I can definitely hear you from that. As you grow in this business, and really in anything you do, as you start to master it, you go through different challenges, or learning experiences to really perfect your craft. So for you, what was the biggest challenge, or that you faced as an artist, and how did you overcome it? Or are there any challenges at all, like, or anything that you learned that you figure, like, yeah, I'm glad I went through it. If I had to do it again, this is the way I'll do it now.
I would say the challenge is just getting people to hear you.
Right.
Clearly, you're making this create like if you're creating, you know what you're doing. You know the song is good or not, whatever, and
Right.
you just want people to hear it. And I think the hardest challenge right now is getting it to those people organically so they can hear it. And you're hoping word of mouth or a share here, whatever, will change, the outcome of the song because if nobody hears the song, then how good is it? You know what I mean? That's how people are gonna look at it.
Right. And that's definitely important. Um, to be able to get to the people. Right quick, shout out to Shorty Walton. What's popping, y'all? I'm here. I see you supporting. I got Jaye Flash here with me. You know what I mean? If y'all are listening right now, tuned in right now, what I mean, make sure that y'all throw that message up there. I'll let them know that you support. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Shout out to Shorty, yeah.
definitely.
Um,
Um, one of the things that when it comes to music is, you always want to network with people, that especially from a producer perspective, that um that really knows your style or your sound. Are there specific producers that you work with that you say, yeah, what I mean, this is the person that really understands Jaye Flash music and can help me change it up or develop that sound? Do you have that person, or it doesn't really matter as long as you like the instrumental, or beats that they cook it?
it doesn't matter. Long as if the instrumental is there, I like it. But I used to have a producer like that. He doesn't do music anymore, but I used to have a producer like that he already knew what time. I'd just be like, hey, look, I'm trying to make a song about this.
Right.
And I swear to you, the next day he'd be like, "Hey, I got something for you," And it's like, "Dang, man, you really doing it." So
Right.
I don't have that now. Now it's just listen to people's beats, they send them or whatever the case may be, and then I go from there.
Okay. Okay. No doubt. Oh, we got somebody else that just tuned in. At least there's mad people in here, but Ascot Radio, shout out to Ascot Radio. You know what I mean? El
Sir,
Presidente in the building. Boss Hizzle, what's good? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody supporting. You know what I mean? I want to definitely make sure that we put that up there and let y'all know what's really good. You know what I mean? Let me just play, type a little message to everybody. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I appreciate it. Listen, we on Facebook right now. We on Instagram right now live. We on YouTube right now live. So, tell your people to tell your people we here. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Um,
sir,
but yeah, man, like, what I mean, from a music perspective, um, you want to make sure that you contribute as best as possible to the world, and you know what I mean, and shout out to the producers. Like, I have specific producers that I like to work with too. However, like you, if I hear something that grab me it really take the first 10, 15 seconds to be like, yeah, this is it. You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
This is song that we got in rotation, Power 107.6, The Truth, I believe it's called. And correct me on the name. Rock with Me or Rock with You. What was the name?
Rock with me, yeah.
Yeah, Rock with Me. We played that the last time we were on the radio. Talk to the people about that record again, and really what that, you know, how that was developed and the story behind the creation of that record.
You know, it was a time where I just didn't believe that, you know, as much as music that I was making at the time, it wasn't reaching the people. And but the people that did hear it, they were rocking with me, you know, and they rock with me from day one, from the moment I decided I'm going to do music. So that song is just about me being different from everybody else, and you're gonna rock with me regardless because you know I can do and the song is like basically saying I can do anything, you know, I can do any type of music and you're gonna
Right,
love me regardless, you know.
definitely. What do you, you know, right now as you speak, like what do you consider your biggest milestone? Because obviously as you progress in this music business, that milestone for you will change, or that biggest accomplishment or breakthrough. But right now, today, you know what I'm saying? Like what will you feel like is your biggest breakthrough or milestone?
So far was breaking 100,000 streams. You know, once I broke that, I was like, okay, maybe I am going somewhere with this. I think before, you know, I had a collection of, you know, a lot of streams, but that was over time. You know, this time it was like kind of like, you know, faster, way much
Right,
faster.
right.
And I wouldn't have got there without Ascot Records. I want to let that be known too. You know, I would never be where I'm at without them. But yeah, I think that's my biggest milestone. I think my next milestone is to get over 1 million streams
Right,
for uh, for either a track or throughout a project. You know, it just continue to build on what I have. You know,
right.
definitely going forward, getting better and progressing versus you know, falling off or whatever.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Talk to me about Ascot Records. I know you got a team behind you. How did that collaboration come about? You know what I mean? What was unique about this team versus maybe others that you were, you know, that you were in tuned in and decided to go this route?
Well, I mean, Ascot, you know, I had seen they were making a lot of progress. They were signing artists, they were putting out tracks, you know, and I was like, I never had that before. You know, I never had people that would go out, get my songs played online, uh, get me a show to do, or anything of that nature. So when I seen they were really pushing their artists, I mean, of course, they're not Interscope. They're not, you know,
Yeah,
whatever
I hear you.
priority, you know, but they're definitely a label that you can kind of lean on and you can do great things with them. So
Right.
when I seen that, I was like, yeah, I have to, you know, touch bases with Boss Hizzle.
Good.
You know, sit down. I sent them the lead track that I wanted to drop, and they liked it. And then, you know, now we here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, shout out to Boss Hizzle. You know what I mean? You know, based on the couple conversations we had through either email or Instagram, you know what I mean? He definitely sounded like a solid dude. Shout out to Ascot Records. And you know, what I mean, the fact that you feel like, yo, they, you know, they're doing some things. You don't necessarily got to be Def Jam or you know what I mean, all these other Warner Brothers or all these other um major super labels to
Right.
really know about this business, right? To make a dent. I think we in the era, we not think, I know we in the era right now where you can come out here independent and you know what I mean, smack the industry like, yo, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm
Oh,
here, right? And the record labels, you know, it's gonna be like, yo, you need me more than I need you, kind of situation, right? So, you know what I mean? But I can definitely understand that. Um, you talk about records and things that you know drop, and you know besides Rock with Me, like any other projects or anything else that you got going and you want to make sure people know about, and we spread out anything on social media, I mean DSPs and things like that, like where's that Jaye Flash music that we should be tuned into?
you can go on all streaming platforms and get it. I have a EP out called Out for Blood. It's got great reviews. You know, 6 songs, and you don't even have to skip none of them. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like
Right.
when I created that project, my goal in mind was to not just make a two songs, 2 out of 6 or 3 out of 6. I said no, I want it to be 6 for 6. If you got, if you turn on it, you just press play and let it ride. So I pride myself on that. That song "Rock with Me" is track one on there. I have other tracks on there: "History," "Chivo," "Speed Demon 2." Other
Mm,
tracks on
right.
there. But yeah, that's one of those ones you could just press play and let it go. And I'm also working on a new album called Chivo as we speak. And that it will be out probably later this year, late this year, early next year.
Okay. How many tracks you planning on putting on that project?
The new project maybe 12.
Okay.
We're gonna double it, but and once again we're going 12 for 12. We
Okay.
want to make sure you can press play and let it ride again. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
How do you determine how many songs you want to put? Because I know as an artist, you have so many records that you record. You get what I'm
right.
saying? Like anytime you hear something, you want to record back and want to record as much as possible. So you can have, like, for me, I have, hundreds of records, and then now I gotta decide the direction of the album and which songs I'm gonna put on there. Like, how do you get to a point where, yeah, these are the 12 that I wanna drop or that I want to place on this album?
What's funny is I'm not. I hear a lot of people say that, and I'm
Right.
pretty sure that is how most people do it. I'm a little different. It's whatever 12 I got is the 12 I'm running with, or
Yeah.
six. Like with Out for Blood, it was no extra songs.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm lying. It was an extra song on there. It was a seventh song that was supposed to be on there, and it's called "Return of the Flash." And I couldn't get the beat cleared from Mark Morrison, Return of the Mac.
Okay.
So I couldn't get that beat cleared. So I decided, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna rock with the 6. But yeah, the goal is just to do, make 7 bangers, make sure they line up right, because even when you have 7 bangers or 10 bangers, they have to line up right.
Right. Right.
Track one, track two, it all has to blend together. So
Yeah.
things just fell into place for this. Even Chivo album is falling into place, but Out for Blood, it was so simple, it was crazy. It just
Yeah.
everything just fell into place. It wasn't really me.
As you think about the next album, the next record or whatever, do you go into building projects with a concept, or do you just like, yo, this, I got this beat, I hear this type of song, I got this sound, I rinse and repeat with all these other beats, and that's my album? Like, how do you come out with, whatever I record, that's what it's going to be, or do you kind of go in with a concept of this is the direction I want to go?
Yeah, with Out for Blood, it was kind of like I wanted a shock value. That
Okay.
was the goal that I wanted, and that was the first single I put out, was called Agatar, which is Spanish means shake. So
Okay.
that was the first single, and I knew making a reggaeton song for a black dude to drop a reggaeton song is gonna shock people. Like, wait a minute, you said what? He got a
Right.
reggaeton song.
Right.
So I knew that. And so, and lightning only strikes one time typically. It's hard to shock. If I shocked you one time, it's going to be hard to shock you again.
Right.
So I have to really shock you the next time. So I think
Right.
that's what the key is. The concept of my projects is wow factor. Oh, wow, he did this too. He did that too. So, and it comes together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's one thing you've learned about the music industry that you didn't expect when you started?
How hard it is to get in.
Yeah, I hear
You
you.
know, it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely not easy. It's not one of those things you could just make this one banging song and there it is. Your life has changed. I thought it was that way. I grew up thinking that, because I'm like, okay, NWA got on the radio.
Right.
MC Hammer got on the radio. It must have been because they were great. No, it's way more to it than that.
Right.
So that's what I learned. You know,
Definitely. Um, I mean, looking at the 5 year, I like to look at, in a 5 year time frame, like where you see your career in the next 5 years? And then if you already have that answer, or if, like, what steps do you feel like you taking to get there?
5 years. It won't be music for sure. Uh, 5 years, it won't be music. I would say in 5 years, I want to be in real estate. Like I want to
Okay.
have a couple of homes, rent it out. I want to be a business mogul more
Okay.
than a artist.
Okay.
This is kind of like what I did was I was doing music more for fun. I wasn't expecting to go all the way to the top and be this multi-platinum artist. I was just doing it for fun. It just
Right.
happened to be that, people liked it, I guess. So now I'm here. But
That makes sense. You get what I'm saying? And shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I see Boss Hizzle, he came in on Instagram just now. You know what I mean? He everywhere. You know what I'm saying? He
you
is
can't get rid of
everywhere.
him.
You know what I mean? I know I asked you this on the radio, but I want to ask this again. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you live in or surviving? And and if whichever direction you end up going, like why are you in that state now? What changed or what happened? Or you feel like that you either living or surviving?
Um, well, see, me, it's all about what do you classify as living? Because and
Right,
what do you classify as surviving? Me, I was in a part where I don't even think I was surviving, and I went to living. So I don't, I bypassed the surviving part and went straight to living. So right
right,
now, I'm in my living phase. I wasn't even, I can't say I was at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom.
right,
So,
right,
um, for me to get where I'm at here, I am so grateful that I've been blessed to get to this point.
right.
That I I look at it as I can only either go up or you know what I mean. So I would say I'm living now. You know,
No, and you know what? It's important to get to a point where you are living. You know what I'm saying? Um,
right?
you know what I mean? It's definitely important to get to a point where you are living because you only really got one life. Like there's no coming back from, you know what I mean? There's
Fact.
no once it's done, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So I hear you on that. What advice would you give to other artists trying to break in the hip hop scene or really just trying to get to the level you are right now? And I know you're still growing, but like what advice would you give them to say, yeah, if you want to get to where I'm at, this is the kind of direction you need to be going?
Whew, man. The advice I would say is believe. You have to believe. And also you have to be unapologetically unafraid. Like you have to understand that not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like your music. Not
Right,
everybody's gonna, what I'm saying, support you. So if you can get past that part of hearing that no word without hearing the no word, because I mean, you can post songs all day, and if nobody shares, nobody listens to it. That's what I mean by a no.
right,
So
right,
a actions no versus a wording no.
right.
If you can go and you can deal with that, then you're ready for the music industry
Yeah,
because at that point, there's no disappointments. You're hoping for the best, but you expecting the worst at that point.
right. No, I hear you. I hear you. Um, you know, as you dive deeper into you getting ready to put out a record, what I mean, soon you working with it, do you have a time frame of that new record? When should people expect to hear hold another Jaye Flash, project?
I've been actually taking my time. I mean, we actually have I have a collab project with Tusi dropping May
Okay.
5th. I'm sorry. Well, we have the single dropping May 5th, but the actual project will be dropping in July. So I am working and I am putting out music. But as far as a solo artist, Chivo is kind of like probably I'm looking at Thanksgiving or Christmas
Okay.
release, maybe.
Okay. So you talking winter time. You're going to drop a winter album. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
fourth
saying?
quarter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fourth
Mike in the
quarter.
fourth.
Yeah, yeah, what I mean? It's all good. 2 minutes left. Mike's got the ball. You already know what's gonna happen with that. You know what I'm
Sir.
saying? You already know. Listen, man, tell the people the social media. Let them know how they can get to you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, at Jaye Flash, anywhere you go. That's whether it's TikTok or Instagram or the Flash Drive on YouTube. Big things. Expect big things to come over the next year, y'all.
Right.
Shout out to your show, man. I really like it, man. You're a dope interviewer.
Appreciate you.
You ask the questions that get your head spinning. I love it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I love it. I love it.
Appreciate it. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time out. Shout out to the people that tuned in, Boss Hizzle. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody on YouTube and things like that. Listen, if y'all just tuning in, you can go to YouTube, hit that rewind back button, play this thing all over again. It's live right now. But then again, we're gonna take this audio because we got it this time. We're gonna take this audio, we're gonna throw it on Spotify, we're gonna throw it on iHeartRadio, we're gonna throw it on a whole bunch of different locations. So shout out to everybody, you know what I mean, tuned in. You can also go to the Groundwork Enterprises mobile app and listen there as well. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying to make sure we spread the love and let people know what's going on. Make sure y'all support Jaye Flash. Any last words you want to give to the people?
Yeah, believe in you when nobody else believe in you,
Right.
and they will believe in you.
Right.
All I can say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, man, again, you know what I mean? It's a Thursday. And I appreciate you taking your time out. Again, shout out to you. Keep grinding, doing what you're doing. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll holler at y'all, man. When I drop Chivo, I'm gonna come back on here.
Oh yeah, let's make that happen. You know what I mean? I'll get with Boss Hizzle and make sure he send that my direction. So I got something to talk about. I need to listen to it so we can talk about each track. You know what I'm saying? So definitely let's do that.
All right.
All right.
Bet.
Salute. I'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of your night.